For most of recorded history, information has been costly, difficult to obtain, and slow to spread. Because of the immense labor and time it took to hand copy information, books, manuscripts, and written documents of any kind were rare and extremely expensive. Consequently, throughout history, organizations have pushed for and quickly adopted new information technologies that reduce the cost or increase the speed in which they can acquire, store, retrieve, or communicate information. The first technologies to truly revolutionize the business of the use of information were the paper and printing press. In the 14th century, water-powered machines were created to pulverize rags into pulp to make paper. Paper pieces, which were already lower than those of animal skin parchments, dropped dramatically. Less than a half century later, Gutenberg invented the first printing press, which greatly reduced the cost and time needed to copy written information. In 15th century Florence, Italy, a scribe would charge 1 florin, the Italian unit of money, to hand copy one document page. By contrast, a printer would set up and print 1,025 copies of the same document for just 3 florins. Within 50 years of its invention, the printing press cut the cost of information by 99.8%. What Gutenberg's printing press did for publishing, the manual typewriter did for daily communication. Before 1850, most business correspondence was written by hand and copied using the letterpress. With the ink still wet, the letter would be placed into a tissue paper book. The hand press would then be used to squeeze a book and copy the still wet ink onto the tissue paper. By the 1870s, manual typewriters made it cheaper, easier, and faster to produce and copy business correspondence. But of course, by the 1980s, slightly more than a century later, typewriters were replaced by personal computers and word processing software with the same results. Finally, businesses have always looked for information technologies that would speed access to timely information. The Medici family, which operated banks throughout Europe in the early 1400s, used post messengers to keep in contact with their more than 40 branch managers. The post messengers, who predicated the U.S. Postal Service, Pony Express, by 400 years, could travel 90 miles per day, twice what average riders could cover, because the Medicis were willing to pay for the expertise of providing them with fresh horses. The need for timely information also led to companies to quickly adopt the telegraph in the 1860s, the telephone in the 1880s, and of course internet technologies in the past 3 decades.